So my name is Justin Tibbs. I'm the Chief Security Officer here at ANM, and today I have Adam and Christopher from Arctic Wolf. And we're just going to talk casually about some things that we're passionate about in the industry and just get some opinion pieces, nothing too crazy, no architecture, no unicorns, just the real deal from very opinionated, cool people. So welcome, guys. If you guys want to give us a little bit of background from each one of you, and then we'll just start chatting about some things I think are really relevant to what you guys are doing.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Adam?
good to be here.
Yeah, so we'll start with you, Adam.
Yeah, my name is Adam Murray. I'm the CISO of Arctic Wolf, and I've been here 1.5, almost 2 years. Previous to this, I've been at a couple of places, but maybe the most interesting is I was an FBI agent for 12 years and investigated mainly cyber crimes while I was doing that, and spent some time in the Army as a counterintelligence agent before that. So that's kind of my background and where I come from.
Thanks. My name is Christopher Fielder. I'm the field CTO here at Arctic Wolf, which is kind of a mouthful. 23 years in cyber, so I was actually in the Air Force, and then I worked for the CIA, so Adam and I have a bit of rivalry there. But then different things out in the field, analyst, hands on keyboard, many years, threat hunting, pen testing, all the fun stuff, and then came to Arctic Wolf about 3 years ago.
Awesome, cool. So one I think the biggest things that we've talked about previously, you and I actually, is to me, you guys are kind of the I want to say grandfather because it sounds so old, but kind of the originators of MDR, right? Mm-hmm. The term MDR. When I think of MDR, I think of Arctic Wolf. And so that term has so many different definitions today, and it's been kind of just beaten around the industry. And can you guys give me some of your thoughts on what truly is MDR, from how you perceive it to be, and what you guys are doing today and in the future for MDR, and the kind of expansion of that?
You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. So MDR has become so watered down, the
Right.
concept, that we've actually kind of moved away from saying we're Arctic Wolf MDR to where MDR is one of the things we do, but we're security operations.
Okay.
Where that is everything security from front to back. And I think that's what MDR started as well, you need somebody to do your security for you. And that's what MDR pretty much is. And now it's just, hey, it's a service that is used to sell a product, or whatever you're paying a monthly subscription for, that's MDR. And there's so many different definitions that we were like, okay, what we consider to be MDR is much more holistic than a lot of others that are out there. So, value props of Arctic Wolf that we always say is that we're vendor neutral, which means we'll meet you where you're at. You don't have to have a specific stack, you don't have to have a specific set of tools. You need security, that's what we're here to do, right? And the other is that we are holistic, which is we don't make you choose between, okay, I only have enough money to cover the endpoints and maybe cloud. It's like, if we're gonna actually do this, MDR, managed detection and response, if we're gonna detect and respond, we need to do it at every area, which means we look at the cloud, we look at the network, we look at the endpoints, we look at the people, we look at identity, any place that an attacker is going to go and it's gonna hide, that's where we look. And unfortunately, not everybody has the same opinion on what MDR is. Some are just going, hey, you know what, we sell a tool and we'll manage the tool for you, and that's MDR. And so that's why we're like, not quite. We don't see eye to eye there.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. When a lot of our clients say MDR, they immediately just think endpoint.
Yeah.
Managed endpoint.
Yep.
It's like that would not be MDR. It would be kind of MEDR.
Yes.
Right, or EDM, to make a funny joke. But that's where a lot of confusion comes in. And I think it's interesting to move to kind of that security operations nomenclature instead of MDR, because I think it just is associated with an endpoint, and some of the big endpoint players have kind of helped perpetuate that by creating their own managed offerings.
But we're okay with that. Like, what we say about that is, I don't want to say any vendor names. We know who they are,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But they are excellent at what they do.
Right.
And their tools are excellent. And so we always put to people like this, they go, hey, why should I get you over this vendor that's selling me MDR? Like, well, what are you looking for? Like, well, we're looking for security. Well, you couldn't have been any more generic, but okay, let's start there. Right? It's like, okay, you're looking for security. Well, they're a great tool, and they're experts in their tool. If you're looking for somebody to manage that tool for you, then that's the service that you want. But if you're looking for a service that's beyond that tool, that's what we're here for. We are that holistic, vendor neutral. I said it before, I'm going to say it again, everything that encompasses. So, hey, if you want, I'm going to go ahead and say it, CrowdStrike, Falcon, which are experts in CrowdStrike, awesome. Nobody is better at CrowdStrike than Falcon. You want SentinelOne Vigilance, or Vigilant, right? Absolutely go with that, because they are excellent at that. But if you want beyond that, that's what Arctic Wolf is for.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Any thoughts from you on MDR?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things is we put our money where our mouth is. So I am the CISO. I'm not like a field CISO. I'm not a sales guy. I'm an active internal CISO. My job is to protect Arctic Wolf, and we use the Arctic Wolf service. I mean, that's the foundation of my security operations center, what we do. And so I get a very similar experience, not the same experience that the customers get. And having been an FBI agent for a long time and done a lot of incident response, I've gone to a lot of places where they had an MSSP or what they thought was an MDR, managing their security. And a lot of times that comes up a little bit lackluster. So a lot of times people forget the managed part of MDR, and it's really focused on the tool, which I think we should be, focused on the tools and how good they are, but you really also want to make sure that that human element is high quality, that it knows you, that it's managing your security, not managing your tool.
Right.
And that is one of the codes that Arctic Wolf has cracked. That's why I came here, because I was so impressed with that model. We call it the concierge model. But anyway,
Right.
I do think if we're talking about the industry as a whole, in MDR, I think a lot of people forget about the managed part, because we're excited about technology. Oftentimes, if we're looking at the market, we want things to be able to scale, and so you want to talk about technology, but you can't forget that managed part. You can't forget that human element. That is really what makes a difference between, let's say you have a tool out there, an alert goes off, and then someone calls you and you've never talked to this person before, you have no idea who they are, they don't know anything about you, but they're saying, hey,
Right.
there's this alert, there's no context there. And that's what's different at Arctic Wolf, and I think what was envisioned from the very beginning, like you said, we're the grandfather. It's been more than a decade that we've been doing MDR, and part of that idea was always we were going to have a human element, be a part of it, an important part, not the only thing. Obviously, there's AI, lots of technology involved, but got to have good humans that know you as the customer and can really understand you, know you by name, you know them by name. That relationship's really important.
Yeah.
You've worked in the field, right?
Oh yeah.
You worked with awful MDRs, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. It's one of the reasons I actually came to the company. Same thing. They sold me on the concept because I know what a bad MDR is like.
Yeah.
Which is literally, hey, this alert just came out of the tool. I'm going to literally copy it, paste it into an email, send it to you, and then say my job is
If you
done.
get the alert.
Yeah.
If you even get it.
Yeah. And then you get the email and you're like, okay, now what do I do?
Yeah.
And
What do I do with this?
And you can't even get in contact with the analyst on the other end.
Right.
Right. And that's just the worst possible outcome for an MDR. And they kind of flipped it on its head and said, no, we're not going to do that. And so then I was like, okay, let's fix the actual problem here. And that was kind of the foundation of the company, is fixing the security problem, and throwing another tool in the stack is not going to do it.
Right.
And I believe that as well. Like, there's amazing tools that are out there. Bringing another one to market is probably not going to solve the problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's a classic security issue, right? Security case, I guess, use case, it's not really an issue. But before I move to that, I totally agree with this model, because we have a saying with my team that you can't secure what you don't understand. And if you don't understand it, you just don't know it.
Yeah.
And so there's this interesting alignment here between our two organizations with that messaging, because I'm a big believer in, if you know my environment, because we are actually, full disclosure, an Arctic Wolf customer as well. So if you know my environment, and I'm talking to that same team over and over, I'm getting those reports and they understand what it looks like, the data just has a higher fidelity to me. And it's the same as when we're designing things for our clients or helping them drive a solution. We have to understand, if it's data, if it's cloud, if it's network, everything has a secure component to it. And so that piece is huge to me. I think that's a huge differentiator, is being able to have that human element. I always like to tell the team, be human. Right? Always remember we're humans at the end of the day. We're not all analytical calculators. And so while AI and stuff is fascinating and important, that relationship and being able to trust whoever's on the other end giving you that data, to me, is a differentiator.
Adam mentioned it. It's the concierge approach,
Yeah.
right? Which you'll hear us say a lot. And
It's a great name.
It's an excellent marketing tactic.
Yeah, exactly.
but we live up to it,
Yeah.
right? And the concept is, it's the easiest way of saying, what do you need?
Yeah.
What do you need? Like, we're in a hotel right now, and I would think if we can go down to the concierge, especially in Las Vegas, there's a lot of things they can get for us at the concierge. Same thing, right? If you pay 7 figures for a security operations team in-house, you better be able to stick your head in that door and say, I need X, Y, and Z, and they deliver it.
Yeah.
And the concierge approach understands your environment as sometimes better than you do, and then can deliver whatever it is that you ask for.
Well, and not only that, and you kind of alluded to this, if there really is care there, they're not going to just wait for you to ask. They're going to suggest.
Yeah, it's proactive.
Hey, I looked at your environment. You might want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, a good concierge at the hotel is going to be like, hey, you might want to try this. And that shows the care. So when you sit down with them, it shows they know your environment. It shows they want you to be more secure. That's their desire. That's their goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll actually live up to that by saying, hey, here are 5 things we suggest now. And in fact, we even have a concept for this, the security journey that we take the customer through. And I know this because I get taken through it, right? Mm-hmm. And they suggest things to us. Hey, we might want to do this. We might want to do that. Hey, we saw this. Were you aware of that? And that kind of care, them reaching out, and it's, I know the person's name on the email is a lot different than the cut and paste, or heaven forbid, the attack happens and they're like, what? So I think that proactive care is a big deal.
Yeah, it matters.
I just found that out about a year ago that we use our own tool. And it's like, came from another company where we use the term we eat our own dog food, right? Which is kind of gross.
It's the worst term ever.
Yeah,
worst phrase
exactly.
ever.
Exactly. But I was super impressed that we use our own tool so he can actually feed back into the company like, hey, this isn't working, or
right.
This is working correctly. I think that's really impressive. It's like when you see the CEO of a very large soft drink company drinking the competitor's brand, and they're like, I don't drink that crap. Like, yeah, so, like we use our own stuff because we believe it. Exactly. If no one's better to feed back into our security organization that, hey, this is not working correctly than an expert in the field that's using the tool. Yeah. So I'm really impressed by that personally.
Yeah, that is really cool. I think that leads me to an interesting thing that I think I've seen you guys kind of transform over the years into kind of where you are today, from being just kind of like what I'm going to call the beginning of MDR, right, mm-hmm. which was mostly an endpoint agent kind of thing, responding to detections, into now this security operations type of platform, I'll call it. Kind of give me your thoughts on the evolution of that and where you think that's going to go, and then we'll dive into some AI gibberish because it's a hot thing to talk about and we like to just blow up weird topics. So, but where you were to kind of where you're at today versus where you think you're going to go, and how that's going to correlate to where we're driving clients, and just some input on that, your thoughts on that.
Adam, do you have anything you want to say?
Go ahead.
I mean, it's a big ask.
Yeah,
we've covered a bunch of areas. So.
Yeah.
No, I think right now we're strategically moving in the directions where we see deficiencies,
right.
But it's in that idea of service focused and what is it that organizations need. And it's that holistic approach as well, right. Where, you say that we were kind of the grandparent of the MDR. Absolutely. But then we said, you know what? That's very reactive.
Right.
So the best thing we can do is be proactive. So that's why we brought to the market managed risk, which is so much more than a vulnerability management service, right? Because vulnerability management service runs a vulnerability management tool or vulnerability scanner, gives you the results and says, hey, good luck.
Right.
100%. And we're able to take that same concierge team and then say, okay, now let's go ahead and run some scans, get the results, stack rank it, base it on what we know about your organization and what your team looks like and what you can approach, and then put together a plan on how you're going to address that. So we got the proactive piece, and then we were like, okay, so we're proactive and we're reactive. Organizations are still getting popped. And why are they getting popped? Because at the end of the day, the absolute worst thing for your organization are the people, right? The biggest weakness of any organization are the people that are actually putting their hands on the keyboard. So we're like, well, how do we fix that problem? Other than just threatening people? Well, awareness. So we brought to market managed awareness. We were like, well, how do we not do awareness? Well, we don't do awareness the way that's currently being done.
Right.
Which is, hey, once a year, watch this hour video, take the test, just click through it, go to the bathroom, come back, take it again. Just keep taking it until you pass it. Right?
It's the most horrible video ever, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the name of one, but yes, I helped co-write
We all know
one.
who they are.
Making me feel even worse. That's awesome. But no, what we brought to market is, again, everything flows through the concierge team as well.
Right.
So you get your concierge team, they understand your environment, and they go, we've seen a lot of weaknesses or threats based around phishing or social engineering or whatever. So they tailor your awareness program in these little micro lessons that are, let's be honest, they're goofy, they're funny, but they get the point across.
Memorable.
And they're memorable, and you learn from them, and then you learn next month something different, and then after that, and your manager can also get a list of who's not following up on it, who's not taking it, so they can go, this is a problem, you need to take your awareness training, you're going to be the weak point in the organization.
Right.
So that's the trajectory we've come from, and we're continuing to look to areas of okay, where can we add to that concept? There are some things we can't talk about right now the areas
Sure.
we're going in,
Sure.
but I can definitely say it follows along that path of, where are we seeing things that we can add value to an organization in that kind of same line that is not going to be like hyper focused and just, another thing in the mix with everybody else.
Right. So,
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it continues the mission of looking at security holistically and seeing that there wasn't really a tools problem. There's lots of tools. It was an operations problem. And this goes across all kinds of tools people buy. They'll buy the tool, they fail to calculate the total cost of ownership. In other words, you can buy the tool, but you've got to be able to set it up, run it, keep it running, and then have a process built around it to get the value out of it.
right.
And so what we do is we put that whole thing together. So it's a security operations cloud, whatever you want to call it, security operations platform. We take the concept of operations and put all of those things together. So there's the managed detection and response. It's dear to my heart. I'm a SOC guy, right? So we have that, but then we also have that proactive managed risk. That's your patching, your vulnerability management program, other things that might be vulnerable, cloud, all that kind of thing. And then we also do the security awareness, which is another huge passion of mine.
Right.
Because I can't tell you how many times I've been in an incident,
I know.
and there's some employee, and they got tears rolling down their face because they did the stupid.
Yep.
And you feel for them.
It's a T-shirt right there.
Yeah.
You did the stupid.
You did the stupid, right? And they didn't want to do it. Nobody wanted that. And so how do you take all of those pieces and create one cohesive security operations concept that someone can have and make it more accessible to more businesses, either your small businesses all the way up to your large enterprise? That is the goal. That is the vision, is to bring all of that together. And because we're tool agnostic, you can take what you already have. You have your contracts with your tools. We can take those tool sets, bring them in, but then overlay this whole concept, and then you have your partners in the concierge team that will help you put that all together and make sure you have the right processes internally to get the value out of every aspect of that. So what happens at the end of the day is you're more secure. Not you're just doing security, but you're actually more secure, more resistant to attacks, and more resilient when they happen.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing when we talk about value, especially around tools, because you're right, I think I grew up in Europe and we always called it a shiny bauble, like chasing the shiny bauble. And so we see clients all the time, I've got to have this thing. It's the newest thing, and especially out here at Black Hat, there's a bunch of gadgets and gizmos going on, and it's like the newest, greatest thing, and so they acquire it, and you're like, what are you doing with it? Well, it's installed and running, but I'm not sure really kind of how to derive the value out of X, Y, Z. And that's always an interesting scenario for us, because we get into those discussions around what does value mean to you out of this tool versus what you think it means to you. How are you using the telemetry from X, Y, Z to actually create or derive value? And I think that to me that was something I didn't really know about you guys. That's fascinating, that piece of it, to really drive the extra value, because I think a lot of clients don't actually know what value can be derived out of a solution outside of I've installed my endpoint from, you said CrowdStrike earlier, from CrowdStrike, right? And it's working, and we always say the classic line, I haven't been breached yet, so it must be working, right? Which secretly means you've been breached and we're all drinking coffee laughing at you, right? So that to me is really interesting, because that's a talk track we also have, is what does value mean? And so you add that value statement with the relationship statement of somebody who understands my environment, understands my business goals, business outcomes, my drivers that are going to push me to do certain things, and being able to proactively help me get there. That's, to me, very fascinating.
This is cliche and kind of cheesy, right? But David was not made with a 3D scanner and a CNC machine, right?
True.
It was made by an artist with a hammer and a chisel.
True.
And I would rather have individuals that know the environment, that are experts in their field, that are watching 24/7 and prepared to respond with the basic tools, than individuals that don't know what they're doing with the best tools that are out there, right? Because they're not going to know how to use them. And we've all heard of alert fatigue as well. They're just going to be overwhelmed, and they're going to have have you ever seen that ridiculous Swiss Army knife that's this wide?
Yes.
And you don't even know how, it's impractical to use. Same concept. They're just loading so many things in some of these tools that they're almost impossible to even actually utilize.
But it looks great.
It demos amazing. How many people have fallen into the demo trap?
Everybody.
Exactly. It demos so well, and then you get it home or you get it in your environment, and you're like, I have no clue how to use this.
Yeah, it looked great there. What do I do here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought it was like playing a video game.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it doesn't always work out that way. So again, we're not saying you don't need the tools. We're saying that the tools are not going to solve your problem.
Right, I agree.
The tools are just that. They are a tool on the path to solve the problem. But the people are the one that are swinging the hammer.